Welcome to the Ask Me Anything episode here on the Epic Homesteading channel. We haven't done this in a while, maybe even since I first moved into this house, but I figured why not clear up some of the most common questions that we get here on this channel. So starting off with the number one most popular one is, what do you do with all of the extra food that you harvest? And it is true, we grow way more than I myself can eat. I'm the only one who lives here, and there's no way I can consume all the garlic, all the leeks, all the onions, etc. So I give away as much as I humanly can. My mom likes to take a bunch, Jacques comes through, and let's just say, run. He does a little thievery. He does take some of the produce. I give some to the team members, but actually something that I really haven't been pleased about is how much can sometimes be composted. And so what we did recently is we sponsored a table at the San Diego Food Bank, and then we've got a partnership with them now where I believe they'll be coming by weekly to do a pickup of all the produce that we have made some content about and can't physically cram into our stomach. So we are going to be donating a lot more produce pretty soon. Question number 2, are the drought restrictions in California affecting you? How are you accounting for them? Yes and no. So San Diego is, I think, the only city that the restrictions do not apply to. San Diego's government thinks that we have water for the next 20 or so years. I think our water supply is a little more diverse than somewhere like a Los Angeles, which is pulling almost all of it from the Colorado River. In fact, in my area of San Diego, about 70% of the water supply is coming from well water, believe it or not. So I'm still being very economical with water. You guys have seen on the channel, we've got the rainwater capture, we have the gray water systems. We've decided right now to actually stop using the rainwater. We have about 4,500 gallons that I'm gonna be metering out throughout the course of the summer in case those drought restrictions do come to our city here in San Diego. What did you do for a living before you became the Epic Gardener? You know, a million different things, honestly. I'll list a few random things. I was a camp counselor for YMCA. I was a camp counselor for the camp that I actually grew up going to up in Northern California. I worked at a Pickup Sticks, which is a Chinese fast casual restaurant. I worked at a Filipino restaurant for a week before, let's just say, I left, but let's also just say if I didn't leave, I would have been fired. Let's just put it that way. I've tried 5 or 6 of my own different types of businesses, building websites, marketing local businesses like plumbers and dentists. I actually raised money for a startup that was a relationship tracking app. Sort of a weird thing. I wasn't in a relationship, don't even know why I decided that was a good idea at the time, but you live and you learn. I worked for a publishing company. I was the second employee of a company called Scribe Media, which has now gone on to do great things. And then of course, here at Epic. So I've tried a million different things before we sort of hit a home run here with Epic Gardening. Have you thought about growing more exotic fruit in your garden, bananas, pineapples, etc.? Well, believe it or not, both of the ones that you mentioned, I have grown. So bananas are in the garden right now. They're in one of our Birdies tree surrounds right near the gate over there. And then pineapples I tried at the old house, and I don't know what exactly happened there, but I'm pretty sure someone, because it's a very urban environment, came and cut the pineapple off. Because the way that pineapples grow is they have these spiky leaves, and then the pineapple grows on a stem like right on top. And so I am gonna try to establish a pineapple patch. Bananas I think should do really well here. Pineapples I think will also do well, just takes about 2 or 3 years to get a pineapple. So stay tuned, it's probably coming, it'll just take a while. What is a garden related subject that you would like to learn more about? Pretty much anything that I don't know that much about right now, but I think the thing that has interested me a lot, I have a book about it, but I haven't gone really deep into it, is Korean natural farming, KNF, or also known as Jadam. So there's a book called Jadam. It's this big orange book. I've thumbed through it. I have a couple friends who are really, really into it. I need to dive in and see how much of it makes sense and how much of it maybe doesn't hold up. I'm not quite sure of the scientific validity of a lot of the methods, but we'll have to see. Like I said, I don't know much about it. Korean natural farming. What does a day in the life of Kevin look like? Everyone is a little bit different, but it has a bit of a schedule now. So Mondays, Tuesdays are typically office days or podcasting days. Tuesdays, usually I'm on podcasts for a good chunk of the day, trying to do really cool interviews with other people who know way more about a particular gardening topic than me. Mondays is a lot of meetings with the team. We have one-to-one meetings with different team members, and we have, you know, a marketing meeting, a commerce meeting, all that sort of stuff, the businessy side of Epic Gardening. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we try to be out here in the garden, testing things, making content for you guys. Jacques got stuff going on at his place. Chris has stuff going on at her place up in Vancouver. So every day is a little bit different, and it's kind of all across the board what we could be doing in any given day. How are your dragon fruits doing? I think this year we're gonna have the best dragon fruit yield I've personally ever had. If you guys remember from the old house, I had that one huge dragon fruit that I think I got 4 or 5 fruits off of, and they were absolutely delicious. But this year I have 6 individual varieties of dragon fruit, and I think they'll all flower and fruit this year if I'm lucky. So stay tuned, they're doing really well. I have a couple flowers budding right now on the sugar dragon. So that one's coming out first, but I should have, maybe in late summer or so, an episode for you guys on dragon fruit flowering and pollination. Have you ever regretted the placement of a tree or other permanent structure? How do you work around it? So I think you guys know that the shed and the coop are sort of kitty-cornered on the south side of the property. I haven't really regretted that. I placed them in a way where it almost was like nothing else could go there, because I worked my plan in from the exterior of the property. So it's kind of interesting, like a lot of people would have designed this property fully and then started building all the units. What I did is I said, well, look, what's the thing I need first? I need a shed. The most logical place to put it is close to the house, but somewhat far away from the fence. So I haven't really regretted the permanent structures, but I will say some of the trees I have regretted. So the avocados that used to be near the rainwater harvesting, those had to get removed and killed because we put the pond in. We may be getting a greenhouse here next year, and I might have to move where the bananas, the jujubes, and some of the other trees are. So some of these trees I didn't really think out perfectly, but you know, it's only been half a year, so it's not the worst thing to have to move them. Do you ever get recognized in public? Is it strange? I would say at this point, if I'm going out in a place, especially in California, that is somewhat public, like walking along a boardwalk at a beach or at like the movies or something like that, honestly, it's like 75% of the time someone comes up and says something. I was on a walk literally yesterday and someone stopped, and then I was at a restaurant the day before and the owner was like, hey, are you that guy? I think it's TikTok, guys. I mean, TikTok is the thing that I got on in 2019 and has kind of rocketed. Just everyone's on TikTok these days. And so a lot of people have seen us on TikTok these days. Is it strange? The only times it's ever been strange is when people have actually intruded upon my life, like come to the home and tried to hunt us down, which is really, just don't ever do that, by the way. If you're watching this video, it's a terrible thing to do to someone. But in public, it's totally fine. Everyone's been really nice. I've gotten some crazy messages, just people saying, hey, look, I changed my major. I'm getting into botany because of your videos. So it's been really cool. I think way cooler than like the average person who probably gets recognized for being in a movie or something. Are you planning to expand into seed sales? In fact, we already have expanded into seed sales. You guys know I'm a big fan of Brigitte from San Diego Seed Company. We carry, I think, 60 of the most popular varieties from Brigitte's collection on our store now. So I'll put a link in the video description. You can actually shop the Epic Gardening store for seeds. It's a little bit hard to navigate right now, but we're making a bunch of improvements to the store pretty soon, so you will be able to filter by zone, filter by type and variety and all that. So yes, seeds are coming really soon. I actually think what I'd love to do is get really into seeds and start locking down maybe some hybrids, maybe some different things that work well for containers, stuff that I think the Epic Gardening audience would really like. If you could move to another state, which would it be? I've been looking a lot into Southern Oregon. I've been looking into Southern Washington. I've been looking into Idaho, stuff like that. I've also looked at things like Montana or Wyoming, but I think it's just too cold. It's zone 4, zone 5. For me, it would just be too much of a shock, but something like a zone 7B to 8B, I think would be really interesting, getting a little more greenery in my life. Just to be honest with you, having a different place besides California in case something weird happens with just the political climate, you never know. And so having something separate or just more property to develop, and let's be honest, this is about as big as I can go here from an affordability standpoint here in California. And this is 1/3 of an acre. So if I could get 3 to 10 acres somewhere else that's a little bit more affordable, I think it'd be really cool. How did you kill San Juan Cabbagestrano Jr.? You know, it really does bother me. It really does upset me because we've tried for 2 years in a row to grow this giant cabbage here in California and it just hasn't worked. And I think the reason why is because this is a cabbage that you're supposed to be growing for 9 months. It needs to size up, and 9 months in zone 10B for a crop that really prefers a zone 6 to 7, it's just a recipe for disaster. And so we got farther this time, but then what happened is on the underside of the big fan leaves, there were hundreds or even thousands of aphids that we didn't see until it was too late. And I'm talking one day, it looked like the best cabbage ever, and then the next day, completely wilted out, and there was almost no saving it. What fruit or vegetable is way better homegrown? I would say the corn that we grew last year, straight off the vine, absolutely incredible. The one that you probably are gonna be like, of course you would say this, but it is true, it's dragon fruit. And the reason why is because the dragon fruit you buy at the store, dragon fruit is a fruit that when you cut it off of the plant, there's no more ripening. The flavor it has at that moment is pretty much the flavor it's going to have. And in order to actually get it to transport, you have to cut it off unripe. It's not like a tomato where you can ripen it after the fact. And so almost 100% of the dragon fruit you get at a store is basically unripe. And so when you have one straight off the plant, you cut it, you put it in the fridge for about an hour and chill it, the flavor that you get comes out like crazy. Because a lot of people say, well, dragon fruit's just like a bland kiwi, there's nothing to it. It's not really true. If you have a fresh one that's homegrown and you chill it for a little bit, the flavors go crazy. How do you deal with neighbors stealing produce from your garden? To be honest with you, it simply just doesn't happen. Even at my old place where I had tomatoes growing right on that urban sidewalk, I would say maybe twice ever something got stolen. One was a tomato, and then one, a homeless man came in through the fence and ripped a ton of my loquats off the tree, and it just was what it was. But here, unless someone's sneaking around and stealing stuff that I don't know about, it's never happened. What's a crop that you've always wanted to grow, but your climate wouldn't permit it? I would say I could make my climate permit what I'm about to tell you, but it'd just be difficult, and it's those true tropicals, like anything you could grow in Hawaii, all those tropical fruits or all those fruits that come out of southern Florida, because that's basically the most tropical part of America. So you're talking like the star fruits of the world, the, lychees, that kind of stuff, I would love to have here. And I think I could probably pull it off, but it wouldn't be anywhere near as good as if I was actually in a tropical environment. Besides gardening, do you have any other passions? I used to have a lot more before epic gardening took off, and lately I've been very hyper-focused on epic gardening, but I used to rock climb a lot, I used to skateboard a lot, I used to surf and fish a lot, and a lot of that stuff I'd actually like to get back to, and maybe now that we have a larger team here at Epic, I will be able to do some of that stuff, but it's been a while since I've indulged in any of those hobbies. I actually used to be really into cooking, and as you can see from our cooking videos, my cooking skills are a little rusty these days, so I'm trying to get back to that. Just general business as well is very, very interesting to me. So technology, business, and some of these hobbies I really would love to get back to. Do you ever add sand or clay to your soil? If so, why? Well, I certainly wouldn't add clay here at the Epic Homestead because it is mostly clay, and I don't add almost any sand ever. If I'm trying to lighten up the clay, I'm typically just adding in some compost. Do I ever plan on growing grapes or melons? Well, you're in luck. I actually have 2 grapes right now. They're the flame grape variety, and I think what I'll do is I might actually need to grab 2 more grapes because we're gonna do a big classic like viticulture style trellis right on the back wall over there near the mural and grow hopefully just a little vine of grapes. And then melons, if you guys remember the cover cropping video where we chopped down the cover crop, that whole patch, we're gonna till all that root matter and really sort of level it out, add some compost, and do a big melon, cantaloupe, corn patch this summer. Are you planning on doing the Apocalypse Grow Challenge again? Yes, for sure. I would say July, maybe 2 weeks in July or a week in July. I don't think I'm gonna go the full month this time. I'd like to start it when the chickens are producing eggs, and I don't think that's gonna happen until August. But really, as soon as the chickens are producing eggs and we get a better system here for, harvest to kitchen, back to the garden, I think I should just be living off of this place. I mean, I don't really need too much besides maybe some fish and some meat. Would you like to visit the Navajo or Hopi Nation sometime? You'd be amazed by the gardeners involved in the Native American gardening project. For sure, I definitely would love to do that. I think we're trying to do more tours lately on the channel, and you'll see some on the main channel pretty soon from some Epic Gardening team members, as well as a pretty cool tour we'll be doing sometime around the later end of this month in May. But yeah, I would love to see as many different gardening methods as I can, and of course the Native Americans, Indigenous peoples we've learned a ton from as far as technique. And so if I could go to the source, that would be ideal. How do you figure out how much sun your yard gets during the day? Well, the simplest way is to come out in the morning, afternoon, and evening, and then look at the yard and see where the sun pattern falls, because you'll notice maybe there's a shed blocking something, maybe there's a tree. And something we noticed in the backyard was that the Chinese elm that used to be in the back corner that we took down for the chicken coop would shade out the back 2 beds in the backyard. And so, knowing that, we definitely planted things that didn't require as much sun. And then we decided to finally solve the problem by taking the tree down, mostly because the chicken coop had to go in, but either way, it's observation. There is a website that you can look at called, I believe it's suncalc.net or suncalc.io. Test both of those out. But either way, what you can do is type in your actual address, and then you can scroll across the months and days, and it'll show you how the sun pattern changes from summer to winter as well. But it doesn't show you all the structures in your home. So what I would do is, do this morning, evening, night routine, or morning, afternoon, night routine, and then also look at the pattern throughout the year, and that'll help you plan where to put all your beds. What kind of native plants will you plant in your sidewalk strip? I don't actually know yet. It's something that I'm not super familiar with. There's a site called cal-scape.org, and you can even put it down to your zip code, and it will tell you all the plants that are native to your specific zip, down to that level of granularity, which is really cool. So what I plan to do is go through CalScape and plan out the grasses, the succulents, the bushes, the shrubs, all that kind of stuff. And eventually I'll come up with an actual proper landscape plan, like I'm a landscape designer, and put that in, but I don't even know the individual species that I'm gonna be putting in just yet, so you have to stay tuned. How much food do you buy from the grocery store? If it's a plant, the only reason I'm buying it from the grocery store is if it's not growing in the garden right now. For example, we just made a potato leek soup. The only thing weirdly that I didn't have in the garden was the potato. So I have some growing, they just weren't quite ready, so I had to go run and grab some real quick. For plant matter, for plant products, I try to buy as little as possible, but some stuff in summer is just not in season here, right? So like my classic lettuces, I'm not growing a ton of in summer, so I might go buy that from the grocery store. In winter, if I want to make something with, let's say, a fresh tomato, I don't have fresh tomatoes here, so I might go buy that from the grocery store. So it's just sort of counter-seasonal. Have you ever considered growing hops? I would love to see Epic Beer on the shelves one of these days. Well, if you have noticed my hat that says Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, Epic Gardening is actually an ambassador for Sierra Nevada. We really love their commitment to sustainability. Quite frankly, we really love the taste of their beer. I actually grew up going to Chico as a kid, not to Sierra Nevada as a kid, but when I actually became of age, we would go to the brewery with my family. And so I've gotten a good relationship going with Sierra Nevada, and we should be growing, maybe not hops this year, but we will be going up to Sierra Nevada for their hop harvest, and one of their brewers will probably come down here sometime this season and will brew a custom batch of beer using some produce from the garden. How were you able to make gardening a business? That is a question that probably deserves an entire channel. So I do have a third YouTube channel that's just called Kevin Espiritu. If you guys ever want to check out some business content, I post to it very infrequently right now. Maybe I'll ramp that up sometime soon. But if you want to see more of the business side of things, you can always check that out and make some requests in the comments. I think we got about 3,000 subscribers, but I haven't posted in 2 months. I have a lot to say in the world of business, specifically about content creation and the creator economy, but I think on the Homesteading channel, it's probably too nerdy, so we'll skip it. And if you want it, go on over to that channel. Will you be coming out with irrigation kits for your Birdies beds? In fact, we already have come out with it. We're just about to release to anyone who's bought 2 or more Birdies beds. We're gonna send you guys an email, and we're gonna release about 100 of these kits that we've designed. We want you guys to test them, really tear them apart, see if there's anything you want us to improve, then we'll make all those adjustments, and then we'll release it to a wider audience. But yeah, the irrigation in the front yard is finally set up, and I'm super stoked about it. I can't tell you how much better the plants look simply because they're being irrigated on a routine, so we don't have to remember to do it. So yeah, that's coming out pretty soon. Make sure you go over to our store and just sign up to the email list, and you will get notified. What has been your most satisfying harvest? In the last couple years, there's been a few that have stood out. I think my first dragon fruit was extremely satisfying. My first loofah, my first shower sponge, extremely satisfying. I think last year's most satisfying was pulling out all of the hardneck garlic that we grew here. We actually have some of that right here. This is this year's crop, but I didn't really think I could pull off the hardneck in such a warm climate. It turns out, just with a couple modifications to the vernalization period, storing it in the fridge, and all the stuff, you guys have seen the videos, it really worked. And just getting something to work that you haven't done before or didn't think you could do in the garden, extremely satisfying. In the beginning, how did you find time to garden, make videos, and have a life? There's no way, you can't. I mean, when you're starting any business out, you go all in, and that's pretty much it. There's only so many things in life, like health, fitness, relationships, family, fun, whatever. When you are trying to make something out of nothing, you have to put 97.5% of your effort into that thing to force it to exist. And so in the beginning, really, I had the YouTube channel and I had the blog, and I had just left that publishing job that I told you guys about a little bit earlier, and I think I was probably writing gardening articles for 12 to 14 hours a day in my friend's house. I had moved out of my apartment. I was living downtown because it was too expensive if I didn't have a job, and so I moved in with my friend's house for like $400 a month and was writing articles all day. That's all I did. I didn't have a life. That was it. What is your most controversial gardening opinion? I think I probably have two. One would be that the dichotomy of organic and conventional is basically fake, and both of them need each other to counterplay against to exist. So organic as a certification doesn't really mean that much. It's more of a label. Organic as a mentality or a way of practice, I think does mean a lot. Another one is that this whole idea of GMO seed being so bad is definitely, there's some validity to it, but I think a lot of it's a little bit overblown. Most people think, oh, I'm buying non-GMO gardening seeds. Well, so is everyone else, because to buy GMO seeds, you literally have to sign a contract. I mean, you can't buy them as a home gardener. And I would also say that if you look at the actual science behind what's going on there, then there's really not a lot of studies that show any long-term harm to the consumption of GMOs. Now, does that mean I'm gonna do it? I still try to avoid it whenever I can, because quite honestly, I'm growing my own healthy produce. I think what matters the most is actually the freshness and the inputs that go into the food. So I personally would be more concerned by the fact that all this GMO corn is grown in a monocultured, synthetic, fertilized environment and not in a vibrant environment, and I'm eating it the second that I harvest it. I would prefer that than it being GMO or not GMO. How do you decide where to buy your seeds? Does it really matter where you get them? I think it matters so your dollars matter, right? Where you spend your dollars is a vote for the type of world that you want to exist. And so I spend my dollars with Brigitte of San Diego Seed Company, or Kitazawa Seed Company, or Johnny's Selected Seeds. So these types of companies, I admire what they're doing. I like the crops that they're breeding. I think that their missions are valuable. So I'd much rather buy from them than I would, even if I pay a little bit more, going to like a Home Depot and buying one of these bigger brands. Will you be coming over to the UK anytime soon? Well, last time I was there was 2019, and I did see a couple gardens. I saw Charles Dowding's garden. I don't know the next time I'm gonna be over. There's a chance I might be out there this year in 2022, so if I am, I will definitely take you guys along for the ride. If you had to persuade someone to start growing their own food in one sentence, what would you say? It's fun. That's it. I mean, it's just fun to do. I don't think you need to get super philosophical. You could go down that route if you want, if that's what attracts you to the garden. For me, it's fun to do. It's fascinating to grow all these different types of plants, and then the reward you get is, I mean, come on, like, that's a sweet looking garlic right here, guys. This is incredible. You're not even gonna find this at a store. So it's just very satisfying and very fun. That's all I have for you today in today's AMA. If you guys like this format, I'm definitely open to doing it more often. Maybe we can do it on different themes. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Good luck in the garden and keep on growing.